Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Right, let's celebrate, baby. The Rays are into the postseason. Weren't they already in the postseason? I'm not sure what we were celebrating, but the Rays doing Rays things last night, so we'll get into that. Big game with the Bucs and the Saints. Mike Neighbors, who covers the Saints, will be joining us here at 10:15. Talk about that, man. We have a show for you today. This show is so big. I mean, we should charge double. Let's charge 3 times what we normally charge, Peter Blake, for today's show. This is so big.
Yeah,
we got Mike Neighbors. Bucs Saints at 10:15. John Gerber, our golf expert, will give us all the betting lines and great matchups for the Ryder Cup coming up at 10:30. That starts tomorrow. Actually, it's already kind of underway. Not the competition, but the all the festivities. Scott Carter will join us at 11 o'clock with our Jeeves Law Group Gator Report. Harry the Greek will have some bad picks at 11. I'm going to give him some shiz about that Buck. I'm just going to rub salt in the wound on that Bucs pick. We'll talk to them at 11:15, and then Steve Connie, my man Steve Connie, will join us at 11:30 to talk some Rays baseball and get you ready for the postseason. Is that a show? Is that a show, Peter Blake? Just you and me? I mean, come on, people. What more do you want? What do you people want?
What do you want? I mean, we got all the content right there. You got Rays, you got Bucs. I mean, come on. Everything's there. And we got phone lines in case you do want to call in.
Oh, we ain't got time for calls today. Screw you people. We ain't got time for no calls today. No. But if y'all want to call in, please, by all means, we love you. We love you out there. Of course, you can comment on X, Twitter, X, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you want to comment, bring it. Well, Lonnie Wilkins is already in. JP about to hit us with stew pricing. $80 outfield seats. Yeah, when do you see the new stadium? By the way, I had some conversations yesterday with some people in the political know of St. Petersburg, and here's what they said. JP, go get the memorandum that Rick Kreisman made up on his proposal to the Rays and what he was prepared to give to the Rays, and compare it to what Mayor Welch has just given away in St. Pete. You will be startled at the difference. So just to say, bend over, St. Pete. Rick Kreisman was trying to protect the city and the county because he knew who he was dealing with in Stu Sternberg. And evidently, Mayor Welch is trying to give away the entire key to the city. So, everybody wants to keep baseball. Everybody wants to have a baseball, but there are limits to what cities and counties should do. So before we go off all crazy and just want to celebrate, oh, we got a new stadium. How much is it going to cost? Who cares? We got a new stadium. Let's get the pom-poms out. Woo, woo. The Rays aren't leaving anywhere. They weren't going anywhere anyway. The Rays are going to stay. Woo, woo. How much is it going to pay? I don't care. Let's just wave the pom-poms and give them anything they want. Woo, woo, woo. Okay.
Yeah, that's nice. It's a good voice.
Let's calm down, people. Let's calm down, Commissioner. And let's just chill a little bit and wait till see what's going on. So anyway, let's talk some baseball. Big game last night. Boy, nice to see Glasnow. Nice to see Glasnow return.
Thank you.
Boy, he had a couple of sequences there where he was dotting the bottom of the zone, like right on that box at 98, 97, 96. I mean, he was pinpoint control. He was in the zone last night. So let's bring that forward into the playoffs, and we can get something done with that. You score a couple runs with him on the mound in this bullpen, you should be able to get the deal done, in the playoffs. And probably, what does it look like, Toronto, that we're going to play? I mean, it's up in there, but maybe Toronto, maybe the Astros, not exactly sure who it's going to be, but it'll be at home, and it'll probably be next Tuesday. So it'll start next Tuesday. How about that playoff baseball at the Trop next Tuesday. I can get gassed up for that.
Love
I
it.
can get gassed up for that.
Love it.
So big night last night, and a little weird, but I thought, honestly, it was the way to get this done. They decided to have a celebration the night before an off day, right? So they can go out and really they've won 97 games. It's been a hell of a season. This team has been up and down and up and down. And I saw stuff on Twitter about, if Cash doesn't win the division series, he's on the hot seat. I'm like, are you out of your flipping mind?
Here you go.
Are you out of your flipping mind, people? Are you crazy?
That is
Listen,
a terrible take. It is a terrible take with all the injuries to the pitching staff and the team overall to have them at 97 wins.
Kidding me?
Again, listen, if we were in another division, they would have won the division. They're in the AL East, the toughest
by 8 games,
by
10 games in the Central, by 8 games in the West. Are you kidding? Which is why when John Smoltz came on here last week and said, you Major League Baseball, you got to reseed. You have a balanced schedule now. And you're going to give the number 2 seed and all that comes with it, right, to some team that's finishing 10 games behind the Rays. That's bullshit. That's complete horse crap. Come on.
Yeah.
If you have a balanced schedule, which we have now, there's really no need for divisions either. What are we doing? Let's catch up, Mustard. All right. You've got plenty of now. You want to, if you're going to award 2 huge first round buys and all that comes with it, you got to give it to the right teams. You got to give it to the right. Just because you're in a crappy division and we're actually in a better division and still won more games, that's there needs to be reseeding. Yes, absolutely. That's because now the Rays have to play a division or a wild card round, while a team to finish 10 games behind them is going to be sitting on their ass for a week. Completely unfair.
Yep.
But get back to last night's game. Paredes with a home run, number 31, 97 RBIs. What a season he has had. Mea culpa again on the Austin Meadows thing for me. Sorry about that. You guys were right. Again, I was wrong. But a great performance this year so far. Look, do they have the horses for the postseason? I don't see it. With Brandon Lau down, Josh Lowe's getting hot. That's good. Had another 3-hit night last night.
Yep, 20 home runs, 30 doubles, and a 30 steal season. He joins only Randy Arozarena in franchise history to have those type of numbers.
That's big deal. That's a big deal. And he's got to be postseason,
Agree.
And to ask a young player in that position to do that against elite pitching in the playoffs, it's a lot. But we'll see. We'll see, right? He's going to need to answer the bell with left-handed hitting. Is Jonathan Aranda going to be able to do that? I don't know. Is Caminero just up from Double-A going to be on the playoff roster? And by the way, there was a lot of chatter on Twitter about Wander Franco coming back, and somebody even sent me some stupid-ass fake text messages with Eric Neander. I think somebody was trying to get me to go out there and report that Wander was coming back, like fishing, sending me I don't know what the hell's going on out there, but whoever's doing that, I'm not that effing stupid to send me some fake Twitter or fake text message exchange like Eric Neander's going to be talking to some stranger on a text message. Nice try, people. My God. So there's chatter out there about Wander, but the people like Steve Carney, who is as plugged in as anybody, will join us at 11:30. He tells me it's all BS. So Wander ain't coming back. And I don't know if this team has the horses. It's going to be tough.
Well, we put out the poll there yesterday. 96% said if he was exonerated of everything, they would welcome him back. And of course, I posted it on Facebook and tagged you in it. We had all kinds of responses. And I was kind of surprised. Again, I thought there was.
I didn't see that. What were the responses?
It's overwhelmingly yes, absolutely. If he's exonerated, if he's not guilty, welcome him back because this team needs him. I mean, that's what it was. It was more of that than the allegations. It would be bad for the Rays and their PR, and you could definitely make some type of case of that because Major League Baseball does have a history of bad PR, morality clause. I guess you could say even if he is exonerated, people would say,
well, we've seen, we went through all those suspensions, the guys that were put on administrative leave, and many of them never had any legal consequences whatsoever, and were still suspended for multiple games, like 60, 70, 80 games. So,
Correct.
you know, as far as, you know, the judicial system goes, it really doesn't matter. Baseball does its own investigation and then hands down suspensions, which, by the way, is right. If they're doing thorough investigations, which, well, I guess when I think about it that way, they could make it turn out any way they want it to turn out, right? You're investigating yourself and your own players. But, you know, obviously the Players Association would have some oversight in that as well. So, and I have zero faith in our own justice system, you know, see Deshaun Watson. Wow. So whatever, it's really not, it's kind of a non-issue, you know, he ain't coming back. This is the team you got. Go make some noise in the playoffs. You know, you were good enough to win 97 games with all of this shenanigans going on. And I know the postseason is a different animal, but you got a puncher's chance. Go make it happen. You know, if Glasnow can go out and throw like he threw last night, and Eflin can do the same, you don't need a whole lot of runs. It's the best of three. You got two of them at home. Go get them. You know, go get them.
Agree. I love October baseball. You know why? Because it's also my birthday month. My birthday's on Wednesday, so.
Oh, all right. Wow, we have to do something special.
How about that?
I don't know what, but something special.
It's special, yeah. We're gonna have a show. That's what we're gonna do on Wednesday. That's what we're gonna do.
Early comments coming in when they had that crazy woman at the press conference for 10 minutes and no Manfred in attendance or offering a comment. Oh, that's all we needed to see. Yeah, I keep saying this. I mean, so the Rays made this announcement. Okay, they came out and fed all the media, all the cookies, and all the, you know, I'm sure they had a nice little dessert bar there for everybody. Fed them all the BS that this deal is done. Then we find out we have no numbers. We have now there's commissioners saying this might be $900 million in public funding and discounted land prices for Stu Sternberg. I mean, none of this is, and there's got to be 6 to 9 more votes that have to be taken. This is far from a done deal, folks. And the commissioner has not said a word. Do you not find that a little bit interesting? Just a little bit interesting?
Yeah, just crickets.
Was that the Mr. Bill impression? I think it kind of was. I think I was
Mr. Bill. Oh no!
I was trying to do more of the politicians there, you know, at the press conference, but yeah, reseating is it. So here we go. Let's get a little bit of flavor from the celebration last night. So the Rays had their celebration. They wanted to, you know, just have a night off and go do their thing. It would have been inappropriate to settle when they clinched last week, when they choke away a game. I mean, who the hell wants to party after you choke away a game, right? So this is what it was like last night, courtesy of Bally Sports' son, Trisha, in the – I won't say what you said before the show, Peter.
Here we go.
Getting it done.
Why was it important to do this, considering what you guys have done this season and the young guys that are up here right now who haven't experienced this?
It's just a reward for the hard work we're doing all year, for you know, all the obstacles that we went through the season. You know, I wish there was a lot of guys that are not here that I wish they were here to celebrate with us. They deserve it more than anybody. And, you know, this is a reward for us for the great season we've been putting up. But like some of them were saying, that we're not done. We still got go work to do.
How proud are you of this group to fight through all of the injuries, especially that rotation that you caught all season long? You lost 3/4 of your starters at the start of the season, but guys stepped up.
You know, that's something that we should be very proud of, especially especially Cal. Yeah, as I was saying, Cal Snyder, all the front office. Went to get Lito, we got Sivali, Glasnow, step it out. Eflin been doing it all year. Touch, he's been amazing too, and you know, they're be just taking their turn, taking advantage of the opportunity, and that's what got us to the postseason. And now, like I said, we still got a lot of work to do.
All right, there you go. So welcome back here to the JB Peterson show. Wow. You ever been a part of a celebration like that where you got champagne poured in your eyes?
Oh yeah, I've been in those locker rooms and it stinks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so old. I did that before we were smart enough to get goggles. Yeah, it stings. It is not fun, and it stays for a while too. So yeah, goggles are a must have in those situations. And then you get all sticky, man. It's awful. The beer, yeah. Throw the clothes away. You ain't getting that out.
Well, wasn't there an incident some years ago with Dion and Tim McCarver?
Oh God, yeah, that was way back in maybe the '90s. Yeah, where Tim McCarver's not. Yeah, he and Tim McCarver had some. Dion didn't like. Dion can dish it out.
Oh yeah,
he can dish it out, but he don't like taking it. He don't like taking it too much. He's going to get his revenge. Yeah, so he came up behind McCarver and dumped a bucket of water on him while he was doing an interview. Yeah.
So you did the ice water challenge before the ice water challenge was ice. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not his finest moment for either of them, to be sure. But now, so now the definitely standard operating procedure. Get the goggles on. All right, so let's switch gears and talk some Buccaneers and Saints with our man Mike Neighbors, longtime sports anchor in Tampa Bay, media icon himself.
Yeah.
He is the producer of Errands, which is an awesome series where he runs errands with a lot of famous people. What's up, Mike Neighbors? Oh, and now you are a professor emeritus as well, right?
It's my favorite thing. I love the kids. Kids are great at Florida Southern College. Really enjoying that experience. Hey, Peter. Hey, JP. Great to be on with you guys. How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on?
I mean, we have flushed right down the toilet this Eagles game. The Bucs were never going to win that game anyway. Not quite in their class yet. But the Saints, all right, now we're back playing in the shallow end with the with the kind of teams that may good enough to win this division, but probably not Super Bowl contenders. I don't know how you feel about the Saints, but that's kind of the way I feel about the Bucs. But this should be fun, and it looks like Jameis is going to quarterback. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I saw Derek Carr's press conference yesterday, and he may be nominated for Best Actor. I think they're going to be precautionary with Derek Carr. He is a gamer. He does say he'd love to practice, but he also says, I'm a veteran. I've played in this league 10 years. I could not throw a football all week and be okay Sunday. I don't think he's going out, but he hasn't practiced all week. Again, he's a veteran. I think it's a wait-and-see approach, but Taysom Hill's, Dennis Allen's already said Taysom Hill's never considered to be the starter. It looks to be Jameis's game, but I won't guarantee Jameis, but I'm feeling pretty good about Jameis.
Are you surprised, Mike, that this team has had so much problem scoring points early on in the year?
Yeah, Peter, the big surprise is the offensive line. I mean, you look at the Saints' offensive line. It's littered with first-round picks, with second-round picks. I mean, they traded up to get Trevor Penning, hoping he would be that replacement for Teron Armstead on the left side of the line. Ryan Ramczyk, who's been an all-pro, who's been a mainstay on the right side, from left to right, they've had problems. Now, getting Alvin Kamara back should help the equation a little bit. But here's the tricky part for the Saints, guys. When Jameis and Alvin Kamara play, they just aren't in sync in terms of play calling. Kamara doesn't have big games with Jameis Winston. They're going to have to tweak that. They got to get the running game going. But the big story in New Orleans so far through 3 games, despite the horrible fourth quarter against Green Bay, which should fire them up coming back home against the Bucs, is the play of the offensive line. I mean, it's not like these guys are late picks or journeyman players. They're first, second-round picks. So it's been a big mystery why they can't play it. Maybe it has to do with Penning on the left side, getting used to his role, and it's carrying over a little bit. But the offensive line for the Saints has been horrible.
Well, that's good because that equals it out because the Bucs offensive line ain't much better. Hey, look, and I knew, that's why I was like, this Eagles game is going to get ugly. And, the score was tame compared to the way that game went down. You saw it. So that's, I think, where this is, right? Like both teams are going to get pressure. I'm going to probably take the under in this game. I don't see a lot. It's going to be tough for teams to run and tough for teams to throw. I think this will be a low-scoring game. What do you think?
Yeah, even when Derek Carr was in there against Green Bay, I mean, they had that 17-zip lead, guys. I mean, they had a punt return by one of the best names in the NFL, Rashid Shaheed. It wasn't that Derek Carr was throwing the ball up and down. And really, in the first couple games, Carr hasn't lit it up. I'm still in a wait-and-see approach with Derek Carr, maybe like you guys are with Baker Mayfield a little bit. He's had his moments like Baker Mayfield's had, but there's a reason why – I don't know why the Raiders got rid of him and wanted Jimmy Garoppolo, which in my mind is not a huge upgrade from Derek Carr. It's kind of a mystery what happened there. So I don't know if it's a huge drop-off with Jameis Winston. I really don't see that. I would love to see in terms of we being in the media, fans, the theater, having Jameis against the Bucs.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah,
it's way more interesting. Yeah. And it's interesting you say this about Carr, because there have been some thoughts around the league that he's kind of damaged goods, that his shoulder already was a little damaged goods anyway. And some teams that looked into him were like, yeah, he can't really throw to his right anymore. He's having some issues. Our friend Harry the Greek talked about that on our show. At first I was like, you know what? The Bucs should go get Derek Carr. The Bucs should go get him. But as I look at it now, I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have a 1-year deal in Baker and be able to bail than, because the Saints are tied to him for 3 years, right? Guaranteed money.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think I'm right on this. He's had shoulder problems, but he's never had it in his throwing shoulder. And that's why this injury is a little bit different for him. And that's why they got to be careful. I know they thought, it was much worse than a sprain. They thought this would maybe a season-ending injury. So I think they're thankful for that. But I think if you read the tea leaves here a little bit, because they feel lucky, because they feel fortunate, they don't want to mess around with this at all. I mean, say what you want. Dennis Allen's saying all the right things about Jameis Winston, guys. But the bottom line is, even though Jameis Winston got hurt last year, he could have played, but they stuck with Andy Dalton. That's how Dennis Allen feels about Jameis. The confidence I believe he has in Jameis Winston. Right. But they brought him back as a backup. That also tells you about Jameis Winston's options this offseason. So I think they like Jameis. They don't love Jameis. So we'll see how this plays out.
Mike, how much do you think this offense has missed in Alvin Kamara?
They missed him a lot. Jamal Williams, a guy I thought was a great free agent signing in the offseason. He's had injuries. They've tried different guys, but Alvin Kamara is a difference maker in this day and age of not paying running backs. He's a versatile guy. I mean, you guys know he can catch the ball, he can run, he can do it all. I've covered the Saints for a long time, and as excited as New Orleans was about Reggie Bush could do all the things Alvin Kamara can do, but the difference is Kamara can run between the tackles, and that's something Reggie Bush could never do. Kamara gives you the whole platter. So the crazy dynamic with the Saints, guys, is they can't keep Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara on this field at the same time, whether it's injuries, whether it's suspensions. These are the two marquee players really in the post-Drew Brees era at the latter stages of Brees' career. I'm still in a wait-and-see approach on Thomas. He hasn't lit it up so far this season, but having Chris Olave, who's a rising star in this league, and Rashid Shaheed and Taysom Hill out there, I think that opens things up for Michael Thomas a little bit. And the crazy part is they have Jimmy Graham on this roster. I still can't kind of figure this out. He catches a touchdown for the first time in, I think it's 9 years against the Green Bay Packers.
Was it 9 years his last touchdown?
For the Saints.
For the Saints. Okay. All right. I was like,
well,
wow,
I mean, when have you seen that in the NFL, that there's that much separation between the touchdown pass and then 9 years later catch another? I mean, what are the Bucs going to bring back? Joe Juravicius? I mean, it's kind of
Josh Johnson.
Way, right?
Bring back Josh Johnson. That dude never ages.
Right.
That dude exactly. Playing for 100 years.
Kamara's great, though. I mean, he and Jameis together haven't been great. So if Jameis is the starter, it'll be interesting to watch the production of Kamara.
Jameis is he's such an interesting character. So I see videos of him like shaking hands with the backup quarterback. He's shaking hands with everybody walking in after the game or before the game. He's out there like he's the starting quarterback. I mean, this just seems it's a little cringe. And this is Jameis, and you know how I love Jameis. Yeah. But sometimes he's a little cringy, and he's a little weird. Like that just doesn't. It's great. It's fantastic. Like we should all be shaking hands with everybody. I don't know. It just is it me or is it weird? What is that?
Well, if you watch a shameless plug here, if you watch the Aaron show that I did with him,
which is awesome.
We talk about eating W's, and I asked him, what is the most misunderstood aspect of Jameis Winston? And he says, people think I'm goofy, and I'm not. Here's what I think. I think Jameis Winston wants to be loved. I think he's a pleaser. He wants to be that good teammate. And when you meet Jameis Winston, despite everything you hear about him, you want to like Jameis.
He's awesome.
And you talk to people in the Bucs organization. Immediately in the first month he was there, he knew all the PR guys' names. He knew the janitor, the cafeteria. He knew everybody there. And I'll tell you, I didn't know Jameis covering the Bucs that well. It was kind of an arm's length, and even at Florida State. But I covered his games. And I didn't know him that well in New Orleans. Once we did the Aaron's sequel or special, I was at the airport. We had just shot one with Juwan Johnson, the Saints tight end. And I'm at the gate, and I hear somebody call my name. And it's Jameis. And he's with his two boys and his wife. And his young son runs to me and grabs my leg. And guys, His oldest son, who must be 4 or 5 years old, looks like a 4 or 5-year-old young man with Jameis Winston's head. I mean, he is the exact same person. And Jameis was just talking to me, and it was real. I think he's real. I think because he's so real, he's often misunderstood. He's made mistakes. I don't pretend to know all these athletes, but from what I've seen in person, I really like Jameis Winston. I do.
Yeah, I didn't mean it like he's not authentic, because I think he's completely authentic, but it does come off like, sometimes like the rhymes in Hard Knocks. Sometimes it's just goofy. It's like, but it is authentic Jameis, and I love him for it. And to a man, I have never met one of his teammates, and I mean not one, that would not run through a wall for him. I mean, there's stories of him with rookies that he's met once or twice. He's showing up at Best Buy with a truck to bring their TV home. He's like, yeah, I'll help you out. And who does that? What starting quarterback does that?
But JP, I think in this day and age of social media, and we don't have damn conversations anymore. Right. When we see somebody act like that, we think it's disingenuous.
Right.
We don't get it. So when it's real, we question it.
It's a great point. And I think to that degree, how does that affect this game? Well, I think that locker room wants Jameis. I know you would know better than I, but is he still own the locker room? Is it Derek Carr's locker room? I mean, how is that whole dynamic working?
Well, I like what Alvin Kamara said in his press conference. Being away the first 3 games, he wanted to communicate with his team, but he made it a point to say, I communicated with both Carr and Jameis. It's Carr's locker room. I mean, he's a starting quarterback. He's been around longer, but make no mistake, because it's Carr's locker room doesn't mean that they don't respect Jameis. They respect the player Jameis is. Jameis had a great preseason. They see it in practice every day. They see him high-five guys after games. They see a lot of things we don't see, like Best Buy stories you're talking about. Players get it. Players spot phonies right away. Most people spot phonies right away. If he was a phony, I think he'd be, not as popular as he is in that locker room, but they're definitely rooting for him. I think a lot of people, former teammates, even in Tampa, not this week, know that Jameis Winston, believe it or not, guys, is still only 30 years old. I feel like we've been talking about Jameis Winston for 60 years.
Yes.
He's been around forever, but he's only 30, guys. Tom Brady played a long time in this league. He may not play that long, but it seems like he still has a lot of football left.
Yeah.
He still has a lot of talent, and people need quarterbacks in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Quarterbacks.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people are looking forward to the matchup offensively, Mike Evans versus Lattimore. What do you say?
You know what's funny is it's a crazy week because I do shows in New Orleans, all over Louisiana. I did one in Monroe, Louisiana this morning. And I talked to you guys in Tampa. And it's always like, what's up with this Evans guy? And then the people in Tampa, what's going on with Lattimore? I'll tell you, I know Lattimore better, but you guys know what a great guy Evans is. I mean, Evans is great to deal with. Lattimore can get under his skin. You ever have somebody in your circle where somebody can get under their skin? That's Lattimore and Mike Evans. Because if you talk to Marshawn Lattimore, he's not your stereotypical corner. He's a guy that's very reserved, yet extremely confident. He's not a trash talker. He's a man of few words. But I think Bucs fans probably see a different guy because of what's happened with he and Mike Evans. But I agree with you, Peter. It's always an interesting matchup. I always feel like it's a home type thing. Evans does better in Tampa, and Lattimore does better in New Orleans. And I love the fact that in this day and age of free agency and the transfer portal, we can't have any consistency. We have Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore. Thank goodness, right? Because we've had that for a long time.
Yeah, love it.
So how does this New Orleans defense, is it aging? Is it still there? How good is it? Will it give the Bucs some issues?
I think it's very good. I think it's one of the most underrated units in the NFL. They had a couple mishaps in that fourth quarter against Green Bay, but they dominated Green Bay and they dominated Tennessee, and they've dominated the first, for 3 games of the season. I think they're very good. I think despite the fact that they've lost players in the middle of that defensive line, Brian Brzee, the rookie from Clemson, has been huge. He has stepped right in. You lose a lot. Marcus Davenport and Shai Tuttle, who is one of my favorite guys, and David Onyemata. You lose 3 players in that D-line. They haven't really lost a step. Cam Jordan, he's the Tom Brady of defensive linemen, guys. He just keeps going, keeps signing contracts. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. Demario Davis in the middle, Pete Warner, great linebackers. I think the one thing to watch on, you talked about Lattimore, Paulson Adebo is one of the starting corners. has a hamstring injury. Isaac Yiadom, a journeyman corner, is someone that Baker Mayfield may want to pick on a little bit because Paulson Adebo has been a steady corner opposite Lattimore, but he may miss this game with the hamstring injury. But I got to tell you, I hear a lot about the Niners defense for good reason, but not a lot of people talk about the Saints defense. And since 2017, Breeze and Peyton were great. Michael Thomas was exceptional. Alvin Kamara. The reason the Saints have been able to maintain their competitive nature is because of the defense.
Interesting. And the Bucs offense has been kind of hit or miss with their running game. They can't get the running game going. And that's the thing. I don't see them running the ball in the Saints. They've got to throw the ball. And if, maybe that weakness in the secondary is where they need to hit. So I haven't really looked into this game and really broken it down, but I'm definitely leaning towards the under. I just think it's going to be a field goal game one way or another. This is going to be another classic, probably 19-16 game. What do you think?
I have a good homework assignment for you guys and Bucs fans who are listening right now. Have you guys seen the Saints kicker, Blake Grupe? Have you seen him?
Very small man.
He looks like Opie from back in the day. He literally looks 14 years old. And as a person who's looked young his whole life, Blake Grupe, I feel like I would have looked older than him at that age, and I look very young. JP's known me forever. But Blake Grupe is this young kicker, and you talk about a close game, very confident. I mean, Will Lutz was a guy that was a mainstay kicker, as you know, for years in New Orleans. He beat him out in the preseason. So if it's a tight game, Grupe's coming off a potential game-winning miss against the Green Bay Packers. We'll see how that weighs on him. But I think it's a close game. I feel more comfortable with the Saints in this game just because I think they should be 3-0. I really like the way the defense is playing. But back to Peter's point earlier, what's wrong with the offense? This offensive line has to protect Jameis or Carr, whoever's in there, because it's amazing to me how bad they are with so many top prospects on there. And guys who have played well before, like Ryan Ramczyk. It's very strange.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. All right, Mike, tell everybody where they can find your content. The Aaron's thing, I retweeted that with Jameis Winston. It's a must-watch.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, my production company, we do a lot of projects with networks, but check me out on Twitter, at Mike Neighbors, N-A-B as in boy, O-R-S. I will say this. I teach now, and I love it. I'm teaching full-time. And JP, I'm on your show a lot, so I don't know if we've talked about it, but Peter, you'll like this. I interned for JP back in Tallahassee in 1988, and I'm going to use this in my lecture tomorrow. I think this is phenomenal. I was actually taking my daughter to the University of Alabama for orientation. JP sent me a picture of a day planner. Yeah, we used to use those back in 1988, and it said Mike Neighbors tomorrow when he was going to meet me. If you don't think relationships matter in this business, that was 1988. It's 2023. I can't wait to show my students that picture tomorrow. Brother, I love you. Send it to me. I've told so many people about that. It's great.
Yeah, that was a nice find. As I was
write it down.
Write it down. Mike Neighbors tomorrow, right?
What was that?
1988. 1988.
How about that? Wow. The days of Chip Ferguson and Danny McManus.
Oh my
God! Guy named Primetime was starting to get on the national stage a little bit.
That's right. We did that story. Yeah. How about that? Great stuff, Mike. Always great to catch up with you. Thank you for your time, and congrats on all this success too.
All right, anytime, guys. See you.
All right,
appreciate you, Mike.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, John Gerber's going to join us, our PGA professional, going to give us some picks for the Ryder Cup and all these matchups. So that'll be fun. So they get started in Italy tomorrow morning. So we'll talk some golf when we come back. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. If you want to get your testosterone right, just refer another patient to our good friend Chris Lugo. Then go to BAMMC.com and get an appointment right through the website there. You will thank me for that. Get your testosterone right, your immune system right. It's Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Back in 3, talk some golf. Stay with us. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up.
40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
So you're experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had. It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. So do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back. It's one of my favorite events in all of sports. It is the Ryder Cup. I'd like to see it every year myself, but we get it every 2 years. Our PGA professional, the man who gets all the picks, John Gerber, joining us now. What's up, Johnny? How are you?
Hey, guys. Good morning, JP. I'm doing great, buddy. Ryder Cup is here. It's exciting, man. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year, too.
I was watching a little bit of the coverage last night. And first of all, the venue, very different. They've never done this in Italy before. Italy, I don't see that as, a golf mecca at all. Don't know much about the golf course. Marco Simone, I believe it is. Tell me a little bit about the venue, why this was chosen, et cetera.
Yeah, this is one of those golf courses that they do play a European PGA event there, the Italian Open. And it's one of those newer golf courses that's kind of built, just kind of like the modern style that it normally does. It's a big ballpark, and it's not very long. They're going to play it at about 7,100, par 71, but in match play, that doesn't really matter, right. But with the elevation change, it's going to play a lot shorter than that. So look for some of these guys that maybe aren't the longest of hitters. They're more tacticians to do well in the match play. But, yeah, it's a big ballpark. I know for a fact I made a few calls that the U.S. players aren't really keen on this golf course. That's the nice word to say. How about that? But it's not their favorite, and that's why you never really see these guys that go over and play in the Italian Open, which is a big event.
John, I'm sorry.
Why don't they like it? Like, what specifically don't they like?
It's really quirky, and what PGA Tour players hate is blind shots, and there's some blind shots that kind of go uphill a little bit on this golf course. So, it kind of does the rolling. There's about 4 holes that go up of the mountain a little bit, and there's going to be 4 holes that come down. So, the bigger hitters, like I said, they're kind of taking driver out of their hand, but because of the length of the golf course playing so short and high rough.
Do you think this team feels pressure to win because they haven't won on European soil since 1993?
I'm not so sure it's pressure. I mean, with the domination that they had 2 years ago at Whistling Straits, I think that pressure came off. But if you look at the majority of these teams, they weren't even born yet. Since they haven't won. So some of the comments that were really cool about some players are like, we didn't know with it. We haven't won it over here in 30 years. We weren't even born. So they're knowledgeable of it, but I don't think there's a lot of pressure after their domination 2 years ago.
So when we look at these teams, it looks like maybe the European team is top heavy and maybe more depth on the United States side. Is that fair to say? How would you characterize it?
Yeah, that's probably a perfect explanation. I mean, there's probably really only one guy or two guys on the European team that maybe you want to hide. Højgaard is probably one of those guys with not a lot of experience. My opinion, I thought they picked the wrong brother because he has a twin brother. So both of them actually might be playing. We just don't know it. Who knows when it comes to these guys, right? So, yeah, maybe you only have to hide him. But, I think this is my opinion. We talked about it last night on the From the Rough podcast is I think with the golf course, it's really going to hurt the Europeans because if you look at their top three players, they're three of the five best drivers lengthwise in the world. And I think they're going to take the driver out of his hands, which it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
That's interesting. And you look at this from a tactical standpoint of how these teams how these guys are going to approach this course. Are there any of the European guys that have dominated or won on this course in the Italian Open?
Yeah, the weird part is no one that's on the team, but Adrian Meronk won this year, and I thought he would be a pick on the team just because he won that, and he sat there about on 14th on the list, and he's a good player. So I think they made a mistake not picking Meronk, and they picked Højgaard. But yeah, nobody that's on that team currently has played this golf course in the Italian Open and had success.
Wow, interesting.
So for those who don't know, the European squad, a couple of these guys, honestly, Johnny, I've never heard of. Ludwig Aberg, never heard of him.
Superstar. He's an 18-year-old kid who has never played in a major championship and has had huge success this year. He's a rookie on the PGA Tour, played at Texas Tech, and he's going to be the new superstar in golf.
Wow, 18 years old. Of course, we know Matt Fitzpatrick, U.S. Open champion, Tommy Fleetwood, who can go low anytime. Terrell Hatton's just a young curmudgeon, pain in the ass. You got Højgaard, as you mentioned, Victor Hovland, he's been playing. That dude can go really, really low. Shane Lowry, kind of an older, and you can jump in and comment on any of these guys if you got some thoughts on them.
Yeah, you're perfect in your analysis of these guys. You're looking at Hovland. I mean, really, you are. And I'll tell you a guy to watch out for just because of the type of golf course it is. Look out for Justin Rose to play well. He's one of my guys that I think with his experience, he's going to take some of these younger guys under his wing and kind of plot around this golf course what he does. He's a past U.S. Open champion. I think with high rough, it's really going to help him. And he doesn't have to hit, driver a lot like some of these other guys have to. But like I said, my thing, I hope the golf course isn't the story if they kind of make it a little too quirky and a little bit too weird for these guys to trick them up, because I think the competition is going to be really good. And getting up at 1:30 in the morning or just coming home, which one? I'm not really sure.
You'll be just coming home.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Who are some other players that you would say you said that Rose? Who are some other players that the USA team we should look out for?
Well, I know the players are scared of Sepp Straka. I know that they revere his game in a tremendous fashion. Here's the thing I'm worried about with Sepp. This golf course is the hardest walking golf course on the PGA Tour if they've played in a long time. So I think fatigue is going to be a factor. Okay. It would surprise me if we see very many guys play 5 matches. I just don't think so. The only things two people maybe is Cantley and Schauffele, because we already know they're going to be paired and in the best ball and the alternate shot. So, and then with those, they're certainly going to play singles, but I think the fatigue's going to play a factor. So look at some of these guys that are in really good shape, like a Morikawa, that pride themselves on fitness to really kind of play well. And I think Justin Rose is one of those guys.
Interesting. And of course, McIlroy and Rahm, we can't discuss this without talking about the two guys that have been number one for the past years or so. How do they fit in? How are they playing right now?
Yeah, you can't really count them out, but they're not really coming into great form. You know, Rory's a bit like, Phil when it comes to the Ryder Cup. He doesn't have a lot of success. He has a losing record overall, but, obviously he's one of the best players in the world. But again, I'm looking at it to the point where how many drivers is he really going to hit? Just because of the setup of the golf course, I think it takes it out of his hands. So I don't think he's going to play well. I look at Rahm maybe a little bit different. I think fatigue will play a factor with Rahm. How much has he really been playing? Not a lot.
Big guy too.
If you look at Koepka and Jordan Spieth also, who's just family just had babies, wives just had babies. How much have they been playing and practicing and working out? So
that's a great point.
Certainly, fatigue's going to be a factor, and I'm going to look at that a little bit more, kind of maybe on Saturday when they're switching up and playing 36 holes.
John Gerber joining us, former PGA pro. Now, you've played in these team competitions where you're playing alternate shot and best ball and what have you. So a lot of it is personality, right? A lot of it is how you get along with your partner. A lot of it is how you deal with pressure and stress, because it's different. When you're playing for yourself, it's a total different deal when you're this guy across from you is looking at you like, yeah, you just drove it in the rough, you jackass again. And now I got to try to hack it out of here. How does that whole dynamic work? And are there certain personalities on these teams that you don't see mixing well with others?
Yeah, certainly it's not a fun feeling when you're playing alternate shot and you hit it in the woods and your partner's got to chip out, right? I've been there. JP, I know you've been there. So we know that.
Yeah. Missing that 2-foot putt, right?
Yeah. But these guys certainly aren't they've started to play a little bit more with each other on the PGA Tour. And I tell people all the time, they ask me, why does Europe have so much success? I'm like, well, for years and years and years, they've traveled together. They grew up together. The PGA Tour is more separated when it comes to that. But certainly you're going to see Schauffele and Cantley. Yeah, the personalities certainly fit, but there's a couple other things to kind of look at. These guys changing golf balls in alternate shot. That's a big deal when it comes to that. One guy that's a Titleist player that's paired up with Schauffele, who's potentially a Callaway player. Well, that golf ball is different, and you can't change golf balls. So some of those things that I really look at when it comes to the betting part of it, I add into my equation this week. Personalities for sure. Distance they hit the golf ball. Right? Are their games very compatible? Do they play similar? Cantley and Schauffele, that's why they've had success. And look at the guys that maybe play the same golf ball to be paired together also.
Yeah, that's a bigger deal than people understand. So from a betting standpoint, when are you going to release? Now, when they release these pairings, is that what you send out when you send out your betting things on Twitter? How are you going to do this?
Yeah. So they're doing the pairings. They're doing the opening ceremonies now. So they'll have the pairings for just for tomorrow. For the alternate shot in the morning, and then they'll repair to see how it is. So I'll get it out there. I'll get it out there tonight for the alternate shot in the morning, and then I'll resend it out for the best ball in the afternoon, both days, and then certainly singles. But with the time change, it'll be a little groggy. So if people see my misspelling a little bit, just trust me, they are the winning picks.
They are the winning. You're very good at matchups. Very good at matchups. So far this year, give us your record this year on matchups.
Yeah, we've had a great year. Well, not a great year, a solid year with the betting part, a little down this year, but we did have the winner 2 weeks ago in Sahith Theegala for our 5th outright winner for the year to get us over the $10,000 profit mark for the year. But the matchups are kind of where we thrive. We were 84, 26, and 5 in matchups for the year.
Wow.
So that's a massive deal. The last couple of weeks we went like 12-1 on our matchups when it went to the Fortinet. So, and including that, picking the winner with Sahith Theegala. So yeah, the matchups are great, and yeah, they'll be out there. You can follow them at J Gerber PGA on our Twitter feed, at anywhere you can find FanStream Sports. We'll be blasting that out all through the day, Friday, Saturday, and then certainly Sunday for the singles.
And the From the Rough podcast, the best golf podcast in the business. Tell folks how they can find that as well.
Yeah, you can find us and watch us live Monday, Wednesdays. We're going to start to do a Friday show, 5 to 6 Central Time. Basically, on Mondays, we'll do the recap of the tournament. Wednesdays, we'll do our betting picks and preview the tournament. And then Fridays and potentially Saturdays, we'll kind of talk about a little bit more of the gaming part, some of the matchups, doing some live shows in studios. So get a little bit of a head start on what you can look for in some of those matchups.
All right, partner, pick a winner. Who you got? Is it for the first time in 30 years? We're going to win on European soil?
I'm going to pick a very close U.S. win by a half a point.
By a half a point.
Oh.
Now, if they tie, the U.S. retains the Ryder Cup, right? So
that's right. That's right. No one wants that. I think they're going to talk about a little bit changing that format. I think they want an outright winner, and I think that's pretty cool for them to have an outright winner. But, yeah, I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think, like I said, I want the players to win this thing. I don't want the golf course to be the kind of the key of the story, and I hope they don't get it out of hand.
Yeah, and they can do that by the way they set it up. So if people don't understand that. So, yeah. All right, partner. Great stuff as always. John Gerber, 84, 26, and 5. That's real money. That's real dinero. So congratulations, and we'll look forward to your picks in the Ryder Cup. Thanks, buddy.
I appreciate it, buddy. Have a great afternoon.
All right. So Ryder Cup starts tomorrow. Well, I guess it starts tonight, late tonight, 1:30 in the morning. So get your ass up.
Are you getting up for that? You gonna stay up for that?
I don't know. I might go to bed early, and then I'll probably wake up like 3:30, 3:34. Go to bed early, wake up, watch a little football, and then turn in, and then get up like 3:34, catch the end of the first round. Yeah. Yeah, man, I love me some Ryder Cup. So we will be all over it tomorrow morning. We might even have Gerber on again just to kind of go through the matchup. So we'll see.
So basically what you're telling me is I'm going to have to stay up tonight and watch a little bit of golf because I'm not really the biggest golf fan, but I'm kind of interested to stay up and maybe 1:30 and watch a little bit.
Okay. Maybe. All right. Whatever you want to do. We'll definitely be on tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. So we will have we got a lot more football to talk about, so don't worry about that. We got plenty of that coming up tomorrow. So
basically, like, don't be late, jerk. I don't care if you're up watching the golf or not.
That's right. You got work to do. All right, we will take a break and come back on the other side. We're gonna hear from Baker Mayfield on this matchup with most notably Jameis Winston, probably Jameis Winston. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Patio. We will be at the Patio from 5 to 7 o'clock on Monday for our Monday Night Football party. But any night's a great night to head on over to the Patio. Happy hour from 3 to 7:30, $1 off beer and wine. Great place to hang out. Great place to watch Thursday Night Football tonight. If you're heading out, we got a good game tonight. Packers and Lions, I believe, right? So go to the Patio. Tell them JP sent you. Get the happy hour specials. And enjoy that unique atmosphere under the palm trees at the Patio, 421 South McDill in South Tampa. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Coins sitting around the house. Well, the Gold and Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Gold and Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
Have any old...
My bad. There we go.
Hey, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Scott Carter coming up in just a little bit from FloridaGators.com as we will look ahead at the Gators' upcoming schedule, what's going on with them. And then Harry the Greek, you got picks for us this week.
Yeah.
Steve Carney will join us at 11:30 as well. You want to play a little Baker from yesterday?
Absolutely. Bake? Yeah, let's go out to bake.
Shake and bake?
Shake and bake. You be my best friend for life. Here we go.
Wounds is nothing new for a guy like you. You've had to do it, throughout your career. You're a veteran. Just your thoughts on the way that this team kind of regrouped coming back this week.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell, especially today, just the focus of just the bounce back. And we know it wasn't our best game on Monday night, but yeah, got to move on to the next one. There's a lot of important games, and especially this being our first divisional one. And yeah, I mean, we know what's at stake here, and so all the guys are pretty focused.
What did you take out of that game on Monday that you want to basically this team has to improve on?
I think a lot of it I mentioned after the game. We have to start faster offensively. We got to be more aggressive. With a defense like ours, there's no reason why we can't be aggressive and push the tempo and trying to force the issue for a team to try and get aggressive against our guys and let them make plays as well. So it's just, when it comes down to it, it's complementary football, and offensively we have to do our job.
The Saints is a team that you faced last year when you were in Carolina. How much can you kind of draw on that experience of what you saw with this team and what they present on defense?
Yeah, I mean, it starts up front. You got Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, and then in the back end, Marshawn. I mean, it's just their veteran leadership they have on all levels, and it's just their mentality defensively. Those guys, I mean, they're consistently physical. It doesn't matter who they're going up against. They're going to play extremely, extremely hard. They're going to present different blitz packages and presentations up front that you have to be prepared for. So it's a mental game preparation-wise for them, but then also it's physical when it comes down to game time.
When you talk about being more aggressive on offense, what does that mean? Pushing the ball? Does that mean throwing more first down? Is it?
No, just taking care of matchups, taking advantage of matchups. Excuse me. I mean, like on our first drive, I missed that shot to Devin Tompkins. Whether it comes down to actually hitting the shots or just taking the easy plays, get the first down, and then get into our groove. So just making sure that we're not having a conservative mindset against a team like that.
You see any parallels, Baker, between you and Jameis in respect of overall #1 picks, ups and downs in their NFL career? Not old and have another opportunity in front of them.
I mean, I don't like comparing anybody's story because every story is a little different. But yeah, similar in the aspect of having being the first pick, not exactly going how you want it to, but then getting opportunities to have a fresh start. So I'm a fan of Jameis, and so he's a locker room guy. But yeah, every story is different.
When you watch the Saints, they got a great corner, Marshawn Lattimore, and him and Mike have had some epic battles between the whistles even at times. I mean, do you like that challenge when you got your guy against their guy and they're two great players?
Yeah. I mean, we're always going to take our guys in our one-on-one matchups. We believe in them, and they would say the same thing. That's what's special about it. That's what makes this rivalry so good. It's a physical matchup. It's nonstop. Doesn't matter what's at stake. And, yeah, it's getting to watch it from afar was fun. Now being in the middle of it's going to be even more fun.
You got a sense of how hated this rivalry is between these two teams? in the last 6 years, it's just been the Bucs and Saints winning the division.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you see it firsthand now being here in Tampa. But, yeah, you kind of watched it on TV, or I did in the past. So, yeah, you get a feeling this is the ones that, everybody has circled on their calendars when the schedule gets released. And looking forward to it being this early on a division game and, yeah, having the same record as them as well.
Statistically speaking, looking at Mike's hot start, and Chris has not had maybe the production that Mike has had yet. It might even out later in the season. But has there been something that has happened on the field in terms of your reads that where Mike's just getting open that has led to kind of the lopsidedness in terms of the production yet? Or?
Yeah, I think you look at, yardage-wise in particular, the third down play against the Bears, he catches a long touchdown pass. He also catches the pass and breaks it for 70 yards. And then on our tempo against the Vikings, he would get a look to have him run a post route for a touchdown. So there's certain things that come throughout a game that, yeah, it's going to be balanced, but Mike's had those shots so far. But Chris has been a guy he's so valuable to us, and he knows that, but he's a guy that we have to continue to get involved in the offense because good things happen when he touches the ball. He's a consistent guy, does everything that you want to, and he's there when you need him.
Baker, after looking at film, what's maybe one thing that you personally would like to improve upon from week 3 to week 4?
Hitting the easy stuff, like I mentioned earlier, hitting Devin Tompkins on that kind of deep crosser play, taking some of those shots and getting even the ball to Mike in the end zone. It wasn't my best ball by any means. It could have made it easy on him. Just taking exactly what's there and making it easy on our guys because they're great playmakers. So there's no reason to make it harder. So I think obviously taking care of the ball, we'd like to eliminate the interception and then taking everything that's easy there for us.
It's Baker Mayfield in advance of the Saints-Bucs game. All right, we can cut that off, Peter.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. I think, look, I would take umbrage with the ball to Mike Evans. I'd rather my receiver not be falling backwards into the end zone when there's no need to. You cut off your route, go attack the ball, and the ball still hit him in the hands. Mike's got to have that. Mike's got to have the earlier one that would have been a first down at the Bucs or at the Eagles 41-yard line on the first. I mean, he probably even gets to the 15 or 20 because the defensive back fell down. That's a huge, huge play in the game. So Baker wasn't his best. The whole team offensively was not their best. And they face another really, as Mike Neighbor said, this is a damn good Saints defense. So it's going to be a challenge. I'm looking forward to it. All right, we got a good one this week as Kentucky welcomes in the Florida Gators. Kentucky's 4-0. The Gators coming off a win over Charlotte, but a bigger win over Tennessee. Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com joins us here for our Jeeves Law Group Florida Gators Report. What's up, Scotty? How are you, my friend?
Hey, JP, Peter, doing well, man. Just getting ready for the trip up to Kentucky where, this rivalry a few years ago, it was, 31 in a row for the Gators?
Yeah.
It's changed in recent years.
Yep.
Mark Stoops has a good program, so Florida's taking this one serious, heading up to Lexington.
Yeah, Gators have now lost 2 in a row, 3 of the last 5. It's unheard of to Kentucky. Now, before we move on to Kentucky, I have to cop to not seeing one play of the Charlotte game. There were some other better games going on last week, so forgive me. So catch me up. What did we miss again? The 22-7 win over Charlotte.
Well, you missed a lot of field goals, JP.
Oh, damn.
Trey Smack, we know who Trey Smack is now. He was 5 for 5 in field goals. And it was a game where, Florida, they controlled the game. I think a lot of fans wanted to see one of those 50-7 blowouts instead of a 22-7 win. The offense dried up a few times in the red zone, so they had to go to the field goal unit. And luckily, Trey Smack came through in his first real opportunity at Florida. So he's the new kicker, obviously, but they're looking to get some of that red zone issues out of the way up at Kentucky because, again, the offense moved the ball between the 20s, but getting inside the 20, they just kind of got bottled up, and it wasn't what they wanted, especially against a Charlotte team that was coming off a pretty significant loss to Georgia State. So wasn't the Gators' prettiest performance, but it got them a W, and now they're going to see if they can make it 4 in a row, if they can go up to Kentucky. And it's been a while since the Gators have won 4 in a row. So you have to go back to 2020 with the last time they won 3 in a row before last week. So see if they can keep building some momentum here under Billy Napier in his second year.
Talk about Graham Mertz in his performance, 20 for 23, 259, 1 touchdown. I mean, this is kind of what the Gator coaching staff wants to see out of him, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's been really efficient at managing the offense. He's making the throws that are there, not making mistakes. He only has one interception on the season, the first game at Utah, which was, a lot of people look at that as being as much on Ricky Pearsall as Graham Mertz. I think this is kind of the what they had in mind when they brought Graham Mertz to Florida. Let him provide that calming presence, as a leader, veteran leader. Let him make the plays that are there. And I think what you're going to see at Kentucky this week, Billy Napier spoke about it last night after practice. I think explosive plays are going to be a little more important in this game at Kentucky. Kentucky, with Devin Leary, they've made some explosive plays in the passing game. So I think Florida might have to match them here and there. So it'll be interesting to see if we see Graham Mertz kind of open it up a little beyond what we've seen so far. But he's completing almost 78% of his passes, guys. That leads the SEC. And if you can do that, you're doing something right. And normally you're going to have a pretty good offense and win some games.
Yeah, suddenly this Gator team looks a lot different to me, and it looks a lot different to fans. You're 3-1 now. You get a win over the 11th ranked Tennessee team, where they overrank. Who cares? It is what it is. And the defense played so well that night, and it played well last week. And then you start looking at the defensive numbers, especially on third down, and they're playing really good football. They're playing tough against the run.
Yeah.
So how does that match up with this Kentucky team?
I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched. I mean, Kentucky's undefeated. They haven't really played anyone on their schedule huge yet. But I still look at this as a big barometer game for the Gators, guys, because it's on the road. It's against a program, as we talked about earlier. Kentucky's beaten Florida 2 years in a row, 3 out of the last 5. Kentucky hasn't beaten the Gators 3 in a row since a guy named Bear Bryant was coaching the Wildcats.
Oh, gosh. Okay, then.
Been a while, fellas. So Florida does not want to join that club. But again, I mean, Kentucky is a different program than your older brother remembers, because Mark Stoops has really done a good job in making it an SEC caliber program. And none of these trips to Lexington, they're not any givens. And so they're going to have to go up there. And I think, speaking earlier about the explosive plays, I think that's going to be key for Florida to be able to find a big play or two in the passing game. But I think it's going to always go back to the running game. Last week, Montreal Johnson got most of the work. A lot of people were surprised that we didn't see more of Trevor Etienne. So it'll be interesting how the carries are split there in the backfield. They've got Kingsley Aguakan back at center. That helps. Micah Maskua is back in the offensive line. He was suspended for the Charlotte game. So they're getting some pieces back to really, we should get a little better look at what the potential of this Florida offense can be if it goes up there and plays well. But as we know, Mark Stoops is a defensive guy. He's done a great job over his career building good defenses. So it's going to be a good challenge for Florida.
It is interesting to note, I was reading an article that in the offseason in the transfer portal quarterback market, Devin Leary, who is now the Kentucky quarterback who came from NC State, was considered the top quarterback in the portal. There were others who thought that Wisconsin's Graham Mertz might be a really good fit at Kentucky, but we know how that ended. So once again, we have an interesting storyline between these two quarterbacks, and Devin Leary is a good player. I don't think he's kind of gotten on track the way he threw the ball at NC State, because he's an NFL prospect. There's no doubt about that. And we haven't really seen that in Kentucky's offense just yet, but I think it's an interesting quarterback matchup. Talk a little bit about Leary.
Yeah, I like Leary a lot. Like you said, he's a little bit similar to Will Levis, the guy they had last year. Has a big arm, makes some plays down the field, highly ranked guy in the transfer portal. And, it's funny you bring that up, because back in December, there was a 4-day period there where both Leary and Mertz visited Kentucky, and there was a lot of unknowns about which one they would end up and whether Mertz would come to Florida. And, it shook itself out like it did. Now they're going to play head to head. And I do think Leary is a guy maybe with a little bigger arm and a different kind of quarterback than Mertz. But I think that they're both very capable to lead these teams to a really good season. And they're going to have to make some plays, I think, in this game. I just see it being a play where a couple big plays here and there are going to be important, whichever side can pull them off. And I just think that, with what with what Kentucky's done, it seems to be favoring them because they have the edge there and what they've done so far. But again, as we talked, their schedule hasn't been exactly the 85 Bears defense they're facing. So.
No, it has not. All right, so it's a nooner. Everybody's got to get up early to watch this one. But it's a big game for this program, right? You got to follow up the Tennessee win. It's certainly not an easy game, as we mentioned. So how important, is to go on the road in the SEC and get this win. To me, as I look at the schedule, kind of like this is one of those games. You win it, you might get that bowl game, right? And that's the extra 15 practices. That's to keep building your program. You get a momentum. Kids get to go somewhere. I think it's really, really key is the juxtaposition of this season. What do you think?
No, I agree totally. I think as far as a barometer game, guys, I think this is maybe even bigger than Tennessee because Tennessee was at home.
Mm-hmm.
The Gators have owned Tennessee in recent years, and while they came in at 11th ranked, I didn't. No one's going to confuse Joe Milton with Hendon Hooker. I think it's a totally different team without Hendon Hooker, and Gators took care of that, and then everybody wanted to see that big blowout against Charlotte. It didn't happen, so now you got to reboot, go up to Kentucky, a place that is a lot harder to play than it used to be. Kentucky's a lot better program than it used to be. I think this is a big game for Florida because it can change some perceptions. But it can also change the reality because, like you said, it can be your fourth win, and then you only need a couple to get bowl eligible. But more than that, it also gets them 2-0 in the SEC, and suddenly people are thinking, okay, this Gators team, they beat Kentucky and Tennessee, so now they're, what about Georgia? If they can play a really good game against Georgia and maybe pull an upset, suddenly you're talking about they're in the SEC East championship race. So
anything can happen. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of ifs, guys, but that's kind of why this is all fun. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. If they go up there and play well and beat Kentucky, I think it will change a lot of things for the Gators internally in terms of confidence and maybe proving something to themselves. But certainly to the outside, that this Florida program might be on the rebound a little quicker than we expected.
There you go.
Look, Georgia has struggled this year,
right.
and they've had problems at the quarterback situation. So we'll see how it all plays out. So maybe the Gators.
Sneaky big game this week. Sneaky big game. I like it.
Like Peter just said, the SEC, man, it just has a different feel this year.
It does.
It really does seem wide open. I don't know if there's a power. There's some really good teams, but no one's emerged as that team that can't be beat. So we'll see. That's why they play him, as the cliche goes.
The Pac-12 and the ACC look better than the SEC. Dare I say?
Wow.
Dare I say?
Yeah.
So,
strange vibes all around, fellas.
Yeah. That NIL thing, as everybody thought the rich were going to get richer, but to me, it has brought a lot of parity to college football because everybody can pay players now. Not just the big programs.
Yeah. And it's just interesting when, looking back at the quarterback options last
year.
Yeah. You had 50 some quarterbacks in there, and Mertz was only in the mid rankings. I mean, he wasn't even in the top 10 or 15. But he's done a really good job to stabilize what Florida needed.
Yeah.
And it's all about need and fit. But you're right. There's plenty of options, and suddenly there's plenty of money, fellas.
Yeah,
parity is prevalent.
Shocking development. Where did all the money come from? I don't know. Yeah, when boosters want players, they find a way. They find a way to come up with that money. That's
the way it works. It's always worked. It's just a little different these days.
it's on top of the table instead of under the table. Wow. That's nice. Interesting how that works. All right, Scotty, FloridaGators.com and at Gator Scott on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Great content always on the website. We'll be looking for the game day information as well. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
It's so funny. We joke about it, but it's 100% true. It's 100% true. I mean, at all the big programs, you don't think these players were getting paid? They were getting paid. But now they can get paid on top of the table and learn how to be businessmen. And still, it's still a ridiculously unlevel playing field. I mean, these kids should be getting as much money as NFL teams get, the player in terms of percentage, right? They should be getting 50% of the benefits in terms of all the money that they create, in my opinion. But unfortunately, the model is that the football players and all their work and they're risking their bodies and putting their bodies on the line pays for all these other non-revenue sports, and that's fine. I don't have any, and I don't think the football players would be, they'd be happy to say, yeah, you know what, but give me a little credit, to the men's fencing team or the women's volleyball team that but a lot of, interesting to note, a lot of these women's sports are becoming a lot more self-sustaining. I mean, you put 91,000 people and you sell 91,000 tickets in Nebraska to a volleyball match. That's going to help out the bottom line.
Wow.
For the budget for the Nebraska volleyball team. They won't be needing as much from the football team anymore when you sell those kind of tickets. I mean, that it all goes into one pot, but it's nice to have these other sports producing some revenue now,
Yeah.
Which is good to see. And part of that is these volleyball players now with social media and NIL are out there. They, like in Nebraska, they know who these volleyball players are. They have followings on Instagram and, people want to go see them play. It's a cool deal. It's a really cool deal.
I got to ask you, the rumor was, and we're going to get out to Harry the Greek in a moment, USF to the ACC. How excited are you about that, especially with possibly the losses of Florida State and Clemson, which has been talked about either to the Big Ten or the SEC, USF to the ACC. It's still a big conference, a pretty big step for USF. What do you say?
Oh, God, yes. Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, it's because of the stadium, number one. It's because USF, and that is an outward sign. And, of course, the academics as well, becoming an AAU university. Those things that have happened at USF, that means something to the academics that are in charge of a lot of these decisions, the presidents, right? So that's important. USF has done a lot right. But the most important thing that they've done in the past 5 years is hiring Michael Kelly and taking athletics seriously and saying, okay, we're going to build an on-campus stadium. We're going to build facilities that are worthy of a major conference. And they put their money where their mouth is, and they did it. So now they've always been in a great market. They've always been in position, but you got to win some stuff, right? You got to go win some things. And hopefully the tide is turning in the football program. They need to do something with basketball. They got to get that right. They just haven't been able to get that right. Maybe this new coach will make something happen. But I like, it's great. It's fantastic. And I hope it happens. And I think it's a long time coming. This is a great university that has been untapped, in my opinion, in terms of what they could be on a national level, because the previous administrations just did not take athletics seriously. And this one is. And I think that's great. And I do think Florida State is leaving. I think Clemson is leaving. I think they're going to the Big Ten. The SEC has been interesting. They're going to have to match what the Big Ten is doing. They're going to, in some way. And does this become a bidding war for Clemson and FSU? I hope so. I hope so.
Right.
I think the SEC is kind of like, if we get them, fine. If not, But I'm telling you, FSU and Clemson, and then another team joins the southern pod of the Big Ten. From an economic standpoint, from a TV standpoint, the Big Ten overtakes the SEC. And does the SEC want to be playing second fiddle to anybody?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
If the SEC grabs Florida State and Clemson, well, and maybe Miami, or there's talk of Virginia, North Carolina. North Carolina, FSU, and Clemson are the big three. And North Carolina has a huge presence in basketball, obviously. So, I think the SEC might be like maybe taking a butt cheek off that high horse a little bit right now and, starting to take a look at what's happening and go, okay, well, maybe we do need to take a look at these other teams. So I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, speaking of butt cheek, you bet your ass this guy right here is coming on. Let's go out to Harry the Greek right there. Mr. Harry the Greek, welcome to the JP Peterson Show.
Peter, JP, what's going on, guys?
How are you doing, sir?
Doing fantastic, man. I can't
How's
help
that backside? After that Monday night game you were pouring your heart into.
Absolutely. It's I'm not going to offer any excuses. All I'm going to say is just watch the tape. I think if they line them up again, I'm still going to stand behind it. I think they just need a different play calling.
Oh my God, Harry, what are you doing? Don't double down. Oh, come on, Joe Biden. Don't double down. You can't do that.
No.
What are you doing?
Joe who?
That was an ass kicking.
0.
That was an ass kicking.
You're right.
Don't put bad tears after a bad pick. We all make bad picks. Just eat it. Did they play that game 25 times? The Bucs might win 1, but that's it. They were outclassed, and that's okay. They're in a different spot right now than the Eagles are. The Bucs are building back. The Eagles are elite on both sides of the football. That score should have been 50-7, not 25-11.
So you don't think the 2 missed interceptions and the 3 passes that were starting the game dictated the way the Buccaneers
how about the 1 for 5 and how about the stupid 4th down call?
I agree.
Early on,
agree.
All they had to do was hand it to Swift and not to Gainwell on some outside option. That was a terrible play call and terrible execution.
Totally agree.
1 for 5 in the zone. They turn a pick 6 that they throw that the linebacker unexplainably just walks out of bounds instead of trucking the quarterback. What the hell was that?
Do you know what the nice thing about my pick is? I'll never apologize for picking. I'll tell you why. Because the price always makes up for the pick. Always has.
Yeah.
Always will.
Okay.
It's easy to take that sexy pick, lay the wood. I was wrong. Still running 19-7 on the year in pros.
There we go.
Okay.
We go.
In 19-7s, and I'm going to give you some. I don't play a lot of favorites, and that's the special thing about handicapping. And a lot of people can pick favorites, and you're going to go to the outhouse, and someone's going to give you a JP Lashon real quick.
That's right.
You know what? You're going to give them the Joe Biden ass kicking is what you're going to give them.
Oh, Joe Biden. Oh no.
FJB. All right, what do you got for us this week? What pick me? Give me some super dogs.
Let's talk about this Florida-Kentucky game. You know, I don't really like to talk too much about college, but I'm going to make this nice, long, and sweet. I mean, short and sweet for you. Kentucky's an easy play here. Okay, my alma mater being the Gators, the whole 9 yards. I'm sorry, Florida fans. Don't get too tricked on what happened last week. You beat up on a very, very ugly team. Kentucky is for real this year. They're not going anyplace, but they're a lot better than you are, and they're only -1 at home. Notre Dame at Duke. I do like Notre Dame. Lay the wood at 5.5. And USF at Navy. Sorry, USF fans. It's not going to bode well. Navy does not upset you. They're going to beat you this week, and they're going to cover to 3.5. Now, there's one other college game, gentlemen, that fits under the 88% rule. Do with it as you may.
Okay.
The road team is 2.5-point favorites, and that's LSU at Mississippi. Personally, I'm not betting the game, but if you have to bet the game, just for the mere principles on the 88% rule, you have to take the home dog, put them on the money line. Now, as far as
Ole Miss on the money line,
it's not a pick I'm giving out, but if you want to appreciate the 88% rule, that's
okay.
you want to take Miss on that against LSU, especially if LSU stays at that 2.5-point favorite, being a road favorite.
Okay.
Now, for tonight's game, second best pick of the week, Detroit -2 at Green Bay. Green Bay got very lucky to come back against New Orleans. There was some bad defensive calling, man. I am so tired of seeing teams go into this prevent to win defense. It's just unbelievable. And they started with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. It's just absolutely sick. What do you think of that game, JP?
I'm going to pass on that one.
Really?
I'm going to pass on that one.
El Paso.
Yeah. Now I'm
You're going. You mean you went to Texas?
Yes.
And he went to El Paso.
Yes, I'm going to El Paso.
What scares you about that game?
I love the Kentucky pick, though.
Okay.
But of course, people call me a Gator hater. But
You're
Florida's
not a Gator
coming off
hater.
a big
You're
win.
a money lover. That's what the difference is. You're not a Gator hater. You're a money lover.
Yeah, home dog. Florida, coming off a big win over Tennessee, and struggled a little bit against Charlotte. I'm still not. And Stoops is a better coach than people think. I love Devin Leary as a quarterback. I watched him carve up FSU a couple of times. He's a pro prospect. They haven't played anybody, and they haven't shown crap so far. Nope. So that's going to be a tough spot for Florida. But we'll see. I mean, Florida may be better than I think they are. They may be better than I think they are.
I think defensively they're a lot better than people are giving them
Yes.
credit for.
Yes.
It. That offense is it's not that good. I think the three of us play linebackers and we'd get penetration.
Graham Mertz, you know that big Graham completing 77% of his passes?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Nah.
It's just the mechanics aren't really there for me. Huh?
Not a big fan of him.
No.
And what did you, by the way, what did you make of the Dolphins hanging a 70 burger on Sean Payton?
I can assure you of one thing. It ain't gonna happen again. But hey, hats off to the Miami Dolphins because I think that comes to an end. I think they lose this week going to Buffalo, to be honest with you. That's not a pick that I'm giving out. I'm just not a believer yet. I love the offense. I think the defense is suspect, but as far as Denver is concerned, they got problems up there. They've got a lot of problems, and they sold their soul to the devil with no
Yeah.
draft picks for the next couple of years. And Sean Payton's going to
Mm.
have to make it work, or you know what? He just got paid, and he's just going to be known as another failed coach. And was he that good? It's definitely not going to be in the same conversation of like a Bill Belichick. Well, who made who? Was it Brady or Belichick? I can tell you for certain, if he has an off year this year, it was Drew Brees that made Sean Payton.
I mean, well, what is it with the Broncos? Is it Russell Wilson? Is it the defense? I mean, is it learning the new offensive system? What is it with the Broncos? How surprised are you that they haven't won a game yet?
Look, man, I don't know what it is. I've watched it. I'm very confused. A lot of players are not being very disciplined in their gaps. Offensively, they don't look good. There was times when they were taking two guards and they were pulling them to the left to try to run a play to the left, and one of the guards forgot their assignment. This is not a Sean Payton type of run team. But you know what? Denver's going to have a get right game this week. They're playing the Bears, and you know what? Anybody that this will be a get right game for the Denver Broncos.
I watched that whole game, by the way, the Dolphins, and that Broncos are actually in the game in the first half. They made it 21-14 and had a horrible call against them. And that last touchdown was called back. And then Miami just steamrolled. They weren't tackling great. The Broncos weren't, but freaking Miami is so fast. And I thought Russell looked pretty good in the first half. The Broncos aren't as bad as that score would indicate. And I think Sean Payton's going to get this right by the time this season is over. And I do think they'll just destroy the Bears this week.
I don't know if it's going to be a destroy, but I think it's going to be a get-right game. I think they have problems more so on defense than they do on offense with Denver, which is really unusual when you think about the realm of things because Denver's really been pretty damn good defensively. It's just they just can't sustain it because the offense isn't moving the ball. Well, you can say that about any defense. Look at what the New York Jets are doing right now. They've got arguably the best defense in the National Football League, but because you cannot move on offense, eventually you get wore out, and even the 85 Bears wouldn't have been able to sustain this type of play. And that's what's happening right now in Denver. Until Sean Payton gets it right offensively, that team is going to struggle. But I do see them beating the Bears. Beating the crap out of them, I'm not really too sure about that. They're two pretty bad football teams right now.
Greek, how surprised were you by the Cardinals' result over the Cowboys? Because that seemed like that was the upset.
I picked Dallas in that. I'm sorry, I didn't pick Dallas in that game. I actually picked the Cardinals. He's one of my 19 wins this week, so I had two positions. Again, I took a home dog on the money line for very small, and the majority of my money went on the Cardinals with the points with that game. And that's we gave that pick out on Saturday is when we were doing that. But how surprised was I? You know what? I'd rather be lucky than good. It's always nice to sit back here and say, hey, it's a cinch. It's not a cinch, buddy. It really isn't. I didn't have a huge position on it, but I did win a few shekels on it. This is a definite answer to tell you what teams are really good. And this is an indication that tells you who plays down to their levels. And Dallas is definitely that team.
All right, tonight we got Lions and Packers. This is an interesting game, very interesting game. It's the Lions are 2-point favorites tonight.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I know you like the Packers. You always like getting points when even matches like this.
Love Detroit. Very unusual. I love a road favorite this week. I think Detroit's going to hand it to them this week.
Wow. Why is that? Why do you think that?
I just think they're going to be outmatched. Green Bay, they got very lucky last week. The first game against the Bears were in it the entire game. It didn't look like it was very good. Their second game, I mean, they're just not that good. And Jordan Love, I am not a believer in this quarterback right now. And you're going to really find out what it's going to be like. Detroit right now defensively is going to just manhandle Jordan Love in that offense. Do not be afraid. This is my second best pick of the week. Take Detroit, lay the wood to 2 points.
All right. Any other games this weekend? Dolphins Bills is an interesting one. The Dolphins as a 2.5-point underdog after scoring 70 points the week before, but the Bills annihilated what I think is a decent Commandos team. So I think this is an interesting play right here. Who you got?
That's Washington's name this year. Is Commandos? Is it this year?
I call them the Commodes.
Commodes.
I'd just rather call them the Redskins. But,
me too. The Redskins. I mean, they're just. I don't know. And you know what? I bet you anything as a gentleman's bet that they end up going back to that name in the next 3 years.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
So do I. I mean, they're like one of the founders in the National Football League. Do I like the game? I don't like the game, but if I had to bet it, I'd take Buffalo at home as a home favorite. But I'll tell you the 3 games I really do like. I like Detroit -2. I'm in love with Jacksonville at home -3. And don't be afraid, ladies and gentlemen. Either play the Bucs on the money line this weekend or take them with the 3 points against New Orleans. I think there's problems in New Orleans. I told everybody about this from before that QB1 wasn't going to last this year. He had a problem with that shoulder, and here he is.
You mentioned that on the show.
Jameis Winston is now QB1, and he's got something to prove. But you know what? He's not going to be eating his W this week. I'm sorry. This is a little bit of a different type of team. Other games that are trap games. Pittsburgh only -3 at Houston. Stay away from that game, ladies and gentlemen. If it's too good to be true, usually it is.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's only -3 at Houston. Really? After what's been happening in this team? And who knows? They could win by 20, but you can't get the Greek to come off a single dollar out of that game. And the Rams at the Colts. And the Colts, is some books have them at pick'em, and some books have the Colts -1. I know Matthew Stafford's not playing that well, and he's not really feeling all that bad. But last time I checked, they still have a top 10 defense in the National Football League. And they do travel pretty well, and everybody has written the Rams off. They're not as good as what they were. But I can't play that game. I have no idea which way to go. Baltimore, Cleveland. Baltimore's getting 3.5 points. You want a little position? Go ahead and write this down, JP. Take Baltimore on the money line at Cleveland. This should be like 140 or plus 150. I actually like them. And the Minnesota Vikings, they're only -3.5. Do they get their first win? Again, I don't like to play road favorites, but these are sexy picks. Take Minnesota -3.5. So I gave you Detroit, Jacksonville, Tampa, Minnesota, Baltimore.
Okay. I'm writing them down.
Write it down.
Write it down. I got them all right here. All right, partner.
In college, hold on. College, don't forget Kentucky, Notre Dame, Navy. And if you really want to dibble around with the 88% rule, go ahead and take Mississippi at home. Only if LSU is a 2.5-point favorite. Not 2 or 3. It has to be 2.5.
Gotcha. All right, partner. Tell everybody how they can get your content.
You can find me right here live on the JP Peterson Show with Peter Blake on Thursdays at about, I don't know, whenever they feel like it, 10:30, 11, 11:15. It doesn't make a difference. I'm available anytime. You can also find me Monday and Wednesday nights live on the, Jesus, my brain just left me.
The Sports Web?
The Sports Web. I keep forgetting about that with the host himself, Peter Blake. And once in a while, when the Greek's not too busy, what I'm going to do is I run the over-under. And JP, I'm going to have you on my show.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I think you would have a really, really good time. And you know what? We all need to get together when the Bucs are on a nice road game. Come over to Greek's house. We'll throw the barbecue grill in the backyard. We'll watch it on my 85-inch TV.
Let's go.
The refreshments are flowing, and we can tell political hate stories. We'll be good shape.
Get some Let's Go Brandon chants going. All right, I'm in. Let's go.
Much love. Hey, man, thank you so much for having me on. I'll talk to you guys later. I got to get back to work. You guys be good.
Thank you. What's up? Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. All right, I wrote all those down. We'll see.
All right, there you go.
Back. All right, do we need a break?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a break really quick.
All right, quick break. Steve Carney is in the wings. Couple-minute break here. Thank our sponsors, the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Model Medical Center, Italiano Insurance, the Golden Diamond Source, Extravaganza Productions, and American Mortgage Services. Thanks to all of them. And the patio, of course. We'll be there on Monday, 5 to 7 o'clock. Quick break. Back with Steve Carney. Stay with us.
Old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Gold and Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. So pleased to welcome in my good friend Steve Connie, who is a Rays insider and been covering this team since their birth. What's up, my friend? An interesting way the Rays celebrated last night. That was such a Rays thing to do, and I absolutely loved it because celebrating September 17th after choking away a loss to the Orioles would have been the worst thing ever. So I think they did the right thing. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. Yeah, it's a double middle finger to the Boston Red Sox, which is always a fun thing to do. And it is weird because I was going back and I was thinking about it. The last time that the Rays celebrated at home in front of everybody was in 2011 for Game 162, which, by the way, was 12 years ago tonight. Wow. So wow. You think about it, they clinched the wild card on the road in 2013. They won the wild card game on the road in 2013. They clinched in Toronto in 2019. 2020, they were in the bubble, so there was nobody. They didn't allow the media in the clubhouse in 2021. They actually clinched the division at home, but nobody was around. And last year, they clinched in Houston. So, yeah, we have not seen a celebration here in town, which is fine by me. I hate the smell of cheap champagne. So
Or the
I
sting of
don't
the
stick-
eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Last time we had a celebration in the clubhouse with the media in at the Trop. It was Johnny Damon's son and Kyle Farnsworth's son that were taking beers out of the cooler and spraying everybody down. So, and they were like 11 at the time. So it was like, hey, get away from me, kid.
Oh, perfect. Yes, absolutely. Those kids have been brought up well. I can tell you that right now.
You got that right.
So, Steve, as I sit here today, the biggest question mark for me is, do they have enough horses left in the barn to make some noise in the playoffs? I mean, this team has just been devastated by injuries. And I was looking at somebody put out last night, what could have been if they didn't have all the injuries. The lineup that they would have right now is just insane, really. But that's not the case. Do they have enough to make some noise?
I think so. Even without McClanahan, Rasmussen, and Springs, as your starting pitchers, having Glasnow and Eflin, and whether you want to go with Zach Littell as the number 3 or Savali, I personally would rather go with Littell, only because Savali is so dependent on his curveball that I think it could be tough, because big league and especially playoff hitters sit on off-speed stuff. And so I think I like that Littell is in the strike zone and he's so efficient and can really save a bullpen. It allows you to be able to use your bullpen with Glasnow and Eflin a different way, because you know that Littell can go 8 innings with 83 pitches and be good with that. So I like the fact that they can go with that. I think that the front office has done a really good job at revamping the bullpen. I know a lot of people thought at the trade deadline that they should have gone out and gotten a couple of other arms, especially for the bullpen. But you think about it, they revamped the bullpen all season long. There were 5 guys in that bullpen that weren't there to start the year. The only guys that were there were Jason Adam, Fairbanks, and there's one other. Colin Poche. But everybody else has been different. Jake Diekman was somewhere else. Littell, when they brought him in, was somewhere else. Robert Stevenson was somewhere else. Erasmo Ramirez was somewhere else. It's amazing to see how the front office was able to revamp the bullpen. If they're able to do that, I think they have enough to get through the wild card and maybe in the division series. Once you get into the LCS, it gets, now all bets are off. It's a crapshoot from there.
Steve, because of all that, do you think Kevin Cash deserves manager of the year considerations with all the injuries to the rotation, with revamping the bullpen? Why doesn't he get more pub for that?
Because Baltimore was so bad for so long, and now they're going to win 100+ games. So obviously, Brandon Hyde is going to win the Manager of the Year award in the American League, and it's deservedly so. But Kevin Cash is going to be a finalist. And there's so many people that respect Kevin around the league. It's not just the folks here in Tampa Bay that respect him, but he's respected throughout the league as being a guy that does so much when things can go sideways. And you think about it in 21, they lose Glasnow, Charlie Morton is gone, and all they do is they go out and they win 100 games. So obviously they know how, they trade Snell as well in that stretch. They still win 100 games. So he's going to get consideration, but there's no way I think that Brandon Hyde doesn't win Manager of the Year in the American League, because Baltimore's so good, they're so young, they're so talented, and they were so bad for so long.
Yeah, Cash has done an amazing job this year. For them to win 97 games with all the injuries and the lack of depth to begin with, because of the payroll, it's insane. Yeah, he's like, if Shohei Ohtani is healthy all year long, he should win the MVP every year, in my opinion. If Kevin Cash finishes a year and they get 100 wins, he should win the Manager of the Year every year, except this year, because Brandon Hyde's done a hell of a job. I would definitely agree with you there. Got to get this off the table. There's been internet chatter, and that's it. I've seen no credible sources reporting on a Wander Franco return, but there is chatter out there. You're as inside as anybody. Is there anything going on with Wander Franco?
Yeah, I think the rumors of Wander Franco returning at some point this season are right up there with the rumors that Taylor Swift is dating me and not Travis Kelce. So, no. If you're not hearing it from Topkin or myself or Adam Berry, well, Adam Berry's not on social media, which is another story for another
An
time.
interesting thing, yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that doesn't happen. But if you haven't seen it on a credible source, anything that's said on social media is said to try and draw eyeballs. And so I have not heard any talk about the investigation in the Dominican Republic being anywhere close to being finished.
Yeah.
So I would think that you've got to get through that. Obviously, I think there's going to be criminal charges brought against Wander Franco in the Dominican Republic, and that they're going to have to wait for that to get resolved before Major League Baseball even decides on a punishment. Because who knows? He may end up, if he's found guilty of criminal charges, he can go to jail.
Yeah, he can't play baseball in jail
in the DR, and he's going to end up on some administrative. I think at that point you're able to stop paying him, much like the Pirates did with Felipe Vasquez. You put him back, you take him off of administrative leave, and you put him back on the restricted list at that point, and then you're not responsible for paying him at that point. And then after any criminal charges get resolved, then you'll see Major League Baseball come in with their punishment against Wander Franco. And I would think that at that point you may see another season plus after that. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a year. I'm throwing this number out, just willy nilly. I know nothing about what he could see in criminal charges and in punishment criminally in the Dominican Republic. But let's say he gets a year in prison, in jail in the Dominican Republic. I wouldn't be surprised if Major League Baseball says you're going to get another year suspended on top of that, and then you have to apply for and then you apply for reinstatement at that point, and we see what happens from there. But yeah, I don't see Wander Franco on a baseball field anytime soon.
Knowing the Rays, Steve, because you're around them all the time, if that happens, do you think they would wash their hands with the Franco?
It's very hard to do that, Peter, because while there are morality clauses and morals clauses, none of them have been used really at that, for that purpose. How many times and this is a name that I know JP will know, Steve Howe. Steve Howe was a pitcher back in the 80s that got suspended. God, 8 times for cocaine, for drugs. And every time he would be let back into the league and he would find himself a job, and then he would find himself being suspended again.
Nip and blow again. Yeah.
With the nose candy. Even Felipe, you look at what happened with Trevor Bauer. The Dodgers washed their hands of Trevor Bauer, but they had to pay him. Now, luckily, he only had 1 year left on his contract. There's a possibility that Wander Franco could have 8 or 9 years left on his contract.
Yeah,
there's no way I could see the Rays washing their hands by paying Franco to leave. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I honestly think that all things being equal, if they have to take him off of a restricted list, I think they're going to play him. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's the only financial thing that makes sense for this ownership group.
Well, you could trade him too. You could also trade him. There's a lot of
how much of that money, JP, would you have to eat in order to get him off of your team? That's the question.
I don't know. Time heals a lot of wounds. Number one, we still have no idea what he did or didn't do. There's still, the only thing that we know for sure is that there was an extortion attempt made because she admitted to it. That's the only thing we know for sure. And I'm not trying to, excuse me, getting a frog in my throat.
It's an awful situation to think about because, you've got one admitted extortion attempt, and then you've got all these other, these other situations and these other, accusations that are out there, and what does that mean for those? How does one balance out the other? What happens to those? Does it take less? Do you give less credence to it because you've got one that's already admitted, I was trying to get a Mercedes and $200,000 out of it.
So I just caution everybody to not prejudge this case. And we've tried to do that as well. It's hard not to. I get it. It seems like he's already been convicted in the public opinion, which I think is sad because we have no idea what's going on. And so I think everybody should just kind of chill. I think that the Rays' attitude towards this has been a little bit more aggressive than I thought it would be because he has not been proven guilty on anything. But and that makes, I think, a lot of people say, well, they know more than we do. Well, of course they do. So it's just weird, the whole damn thing. And you hate it. But I would say, like you, don't prejudge this. And he could come back and play for the Rays. And we don't know. So
exactly. And the league has precedent. The team is following the precedent that was set by the league when it comes to Trevor Bauer and Aroldis Chapman, and now Julio Urias is in that same that same boat now.
And and that's the right thing to do.
Absolutely,
it's the right thing to do.
You got to follow precedent at that point.
So as I look at this offense going into the postseason, Josh Lowe becomes a huge part of the key here because Brandon Lau's probably going to be out another 4 weeks, we think.
Yeah, he might be back for the World Series if the Rays make it that far.
Okay, so you need some left-handed pop. I'm not, forgive me for not counting on Jonathan Aranda for anything, but nice that he's shown he can maybe hit a fastball here and there recently. But that makes Josh Lowe all the more important. Paredes becomes important. Randy is obviously a key figure. Yandy's been fantastic. So those guys. And none of them have really done anything in the postseason except for Randy, and we remember that. And that I'm not counting on another 10 home runs in the postseason. I'll take 3. I'll take 3. Would be fine. So I see a lot of question marks about this offense, especially going up against elite pitching in the postseason. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the one guy that you left out is Luke Raley.
Right,
obviously getting hit by running into Manny Navarro, the Spanish translator in Baltimore. And Manny's a big guy. He played college baseball at Cal Pomona, but it was rough to see Luke go down and miss the so far. But obviously it's looking like he is gearing towards. He might. I think there's a possibility that he might play here before the weekend is out. The other person that may get some work in, though he's not going to be ready for the start of the postseason, is Jose Siri. Apparently he is supposed to start baseball activities here today in Toronto, which means some dry swings and maybe getting some throws in. But he's still I still think that he's probably at least DS, maybe CS away. Before he's back. So you're looking at Raley and Josh Lowe from the left side, Randy and Paredes and Yandy Diaz obviously from the right side. And hopefully you can try and squeeze out some extra production from a Caminero or a Bethancourt and a Pinto.
You think Caminero makes the postseason roster?
I think it's possible. I think mostly because I think you're going to ask Paredes to play second base. So you're going to have either Caminero or Curtis Mead probably playing third base, and you have to make your decision if you want a guy with low exit velo that playing third base, or a guy with high exit velo and less experience. Even though neither of those guys have a ton of it. Yeah. And Caminero is, of course, the youngest player in the majors right now. So that would be interesting to see how he handles postseason, because obviously, pitching is a lot different in the big leagues than it is in the Southern League or the Midwest League that we saw earlier this year. And playoff pitching is even another step beyond that. So we'll see if they want to go with Mead or if they want to go with Caminero at third base. I think you'll probably see one of those two at third, and then with Walls, with Paredes at second, and Yandy at first.
Steve, you talk about pitching. How encouraged were you to see Tyler Glasnow last night get back to his old self?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big piece, Peter. I think getting, especially here when you basically only need 3 starters. When you've got the division, the wild card, obviously it's best of 3, and then you've got 3 out of 5, and you're going to have at least a day, maybe 2 off. If you're able to sweep the wild card, you got 2 days off. You can kind of reset everybody and go with Glasnow and then Eflin and then either Littell or Savali. Like I said, having Glasnow at the top is going to be huge. You would like to see him maybe go another inning. Going 5 is not would not be as desirable in the playoffs than going 6. You would like to see him get 18 outs because it helps your bullpen in that case. You would like to see all your starters get 18 outs, but getting 5 and looking as dominant as he was definitely a big plus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting that you go Littell instead of Savali, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It's efficiency. You want a guy that you look at how efficient he's been. He's always in the strike zone. I think he threw in his last outing. I think he out of the 25 or 26 batters that he faced, I think the first 21 of them he threw a first pitch strike to. So he's always 0-1, which is always a big plus for you.
Interesting stuff. Well, hopefully they just need 2 starters, and that's the way that would be perfect, right?
Especially in this first round, that's for sure.
Exactly. We just need 2. And who do you think it's going to be? Toronto?
Yeah, I tend towards Toronto, mostly because of the fact that Seattle has it's Houston. Houston has Arizona, and Seattle has Texas. I think that it's going to be very tough for either of those teams to sweep, and the Mariners and Rangers start a 4-game series tonight. It's only 3 games for the Astros and the Diamondbacks. So I think it's going to be pretty tough. Yeah.
So you'll end up playing Toronto, 7 to 10 times?
9 times in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. And the
Including
matchups
6 in a row.
And what do you think the matchup, if we start, what'll be the pitching matchups if we start on Tuesday at home? It'll be Glasnow versus.
I think it's Glasnow and probably Barrios. I would think Glasnow and Barrios, and then you probably would have Eflin and Gossman.
And that game 2 will be in Toronto or Tampa?
No, they're all at the Trop.
They're all at the Trop.
3 games,
That's
all
right.
at the higher seed. So.
That's right. They all play at the Trop. That's right. Okay. Hey, what that Trop, man? Playoff baseball, it gets rocking.
Oh, absolutely,
rocking.
You open the 300 level. You open the 300 level up.
They will, right? They will.
Oh yeah.
Do that.
Oh, not only have they opened they've said the 300 level is going to be open, but I've been seeing people on social media like, I've got my 300 level tickets. So obviously that it's going to be packed. There's going to be 31,000, I think is what it is with the tarps still on the obstructed seats. So 31,042 fans there. It'll be loud. It'll be raucous. It'll be
really
fun.
loud. Yeah, good stuff. All right, Steve-O, tell everybody how they can get your content at stpete9.com.
Yeah, stpete9.com is the website under the Orange Roof podcast where we talk Rays, and I actually have a college football podcast that I'm doing now where we discuss Service Academy football because I'm a Navy veteran.
At you.
So yards and stripes, Service Academy football. So got when the Greek was talking about USF and Navy, I personally like the under 54.5 because Navy is a slow-paced team, and it's going to be raining in Annapolis. That's what the forecast says.
All right, under 54.5.
I like that. I like Navy USF under 54.5. I don't know about the 3. I think this one screams 13-10 at me.
I know, doesn't it? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So under 54.5 though, bet your mortgage on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to the window right now on that one. Yes, absolutely. All right, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it, man. Great stuff.
I take no responsibility for it.
I will say this though before you leave.
Yeah.
If you and Taylor do get together, your combo name will be Swift Car. So I like that.
Swift Car. That. I'd be all for that. She'd have to fight my wife though. My wife fights dirty.
She ain't seen nothing like that. All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And Taylor Swift is welcome to New York. Welcome to New York.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, that's bound to happen. She's going to go travel to Kansas City and watch a god-awful team and the Bears face Kansas City. She lives in New York, so it only makes sense that she's going to go in New York. I mean, and Ryan Clark said that it's bigger than the NFL. I mean, do you agree with that? Ryan Clark saying again, Taylor Swift is bigger than the NFL. This is bigger.
Yeah, Taylor Swift is. Well, I mean, define bigger, right?
Right.
Define like it bigger, like. I mean, you just have to give me a definition. She's the biggest star on the planet. I don't think there's any question. Which, by the way, let's not forget this: she passed on the opportunity to be the halftime entertainment.
Right. Which,
So
wow.
we're stuck with Usher. But I love Usher.
Yeah.
But yeah, wasn't that interesting? And now she's an NFL fan and she passed on. Maybe she's reconsidering. Or would it be a conflict of interest if the Chiefs are playing in the Super Bowl? And maybe that's why she turned it down.
That'd be interesting.
Maybe that's why she turned it down, because she was already dating Kelsey.
Are you saying
the timing was similar
or scripted? Are you saying going back to the scripted thing?
Oh, and then like, what if this is so scripted for the NFL. What if she's like, if Kelsey's if the Chiefs make it back to the Super Bowl, which is where this year? It's Vegas. Oh, it's in Vegas.
Vegas, yes.
So Usher's on stage, and who comes out?
Taylor Swift.
Swifty comes out at halftime because she turned down the show. Oh, that's happening. That's happening. I'm predicting that right now.
How could you not take advantage of that? I don't understand how it couldn't be possible, but we'll see. We'll see.
We almost got through the entire podcast without mentioning Taylor Swift, but it was
I
not
know.
the big-
We did. And I'll tell you right now, I think the NFL has dropped the ball a couple times because you're in San Francisco. Why don't you have Metallica? Like, I'm a Metallica fan. I'm a rock fan. Is there any way, and I get it, Jay-Z
Metallica?
Yeah.
That's the
Metallica.
Super Bowl act.
Why not? Why not do an all rock thing? If you're in San
'Cause
Francisco,
there's like 7 people who
that's not
like Metallica.
true. That is not true at all. There are plenty of people out there that love Metallica and rock music.
Not to the level that's I hate to tell you this, but
well, I will say this. Remember Lady Gaga just a couple of years ago did an act with Metallica.
Yeah.
And then Miley
Lady
Cyrus. Miley Cyrus also
no,
did.
they always look for the crossover acts for the most part.
Right.
Or
So why not cross it over
political.
with Miley Cyrus or Lady Gaga? I don't understand. Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Metallica and who?
Lady Gaga or Metallica and Miley Cyrus?
Metallica and Taylor Swift. No,
Wow.
she doesn't get a crossover. She gets her own show.
Well, she's
All
already crossed over.
Speaking of what a great show we had today. Mike Neighbors talked Bucs Saints. John Gerber gave you the some inside scoop on the betting for the Ryder Cup, but definitely tune into his Twitter. We'll retweet all of his picks because he's been awesome this year. Scott Carter on our Gator Report, brought to you by Jeeves Law Group. Harry the Greek gave us some great picks, we hope. And then Steve Carney, that's a show. That's a show right there, folks. We do it every day, 10 to 12, the best Tampa Bay-centric sports radio, sports talk you will hear. Great job, Peter Blake. We will see you guys tomorrow with a big Football Friday show. So we'll see you then.